This is the Littlepay Transactions page. The tap time indicates the tap time and date of when the transaction took place. Amount, how much that customer has been charged for this ticket. Description, whether it's an inbound or an outbound journey from the depot. Purchase, what ticket that customer has purchased. For example, adult return, child single. Location, this tells us the location of where that transaction took place. And transaction status, this tells us the life cycle of the transaction and tells us if it's been authorized and settled from the customer's bank. Each transaction will have its own status. If it shows as green and authorized, this means the money has been approved by the bank and will be settled back to the operator. If it shows as red and declined, this means the bank has rejected the payment and the card has been added to the deny list. Littlepay then processes debt recovery attempts on that transaction to try and recover the money, and if that has been authorized, it will then show as authorized and initially declined, meaning this transaction was initially declined but has now been authorized through debt recovery processes. While the card is on the deny list, the card cannot be used again until that debt has been repaid. If the operator has a cap-in rule live and the customer has reached that cap-in limit, it will then show as adjusted and no further charges will be made in the parameters of that cap-in rule. If the operator has a touch-on, touch-off rule live and the customer forgets to tap off their card, it will then show as incomplete and the customer can be charged to the end of the route. In order to search for a customer on the Littlepay Merchant Portal, go to the customers page and enter the first 6 and last 4 numbers of the card number. We'd also advise to take the expiry date to help narrow down the search results. Once you've entered the information into the search criteria, simply click on the search button and the search results will then be displayed. Click on the link, it will take you to the customer summary page for this customer, where you'll be able to view a full transaction history for this customer. Every single card payment will be listed here, which has been processed through Littlepay. Should you want to see if this card has ever been added or removed from the deny list, go to the cards tab and then open up the menu next to the card number. This will easily show you what time and date a card has either been added or removed from a deny list. You'll be able to see a full history of this card's deny list actions. Should you want to refund a transaction, simply find the transaction you're looking for and then click on the credit button on the right hand side. A new window is then displayed where you can then edit how much the customer is to be refunded if it's a partial refund, and also add any comments for this refund as well. If you'd like to understand if there have been any refunds for this customer in the past, simply go to the refunds tab where you'll be able to see every single refund processed in the past for this customer. To set up a cap-in rule on the merchant portal, go to Products, Cap-in and Create Product. We have 4 types of product available: daily cap, weekly cap, multi-day cap and time-based cap. In order to set out the rules for your cap-in rule, fill out the form with all the options available. Product status, I'll set this to enabled to make sure it's live and ready when the cap-in goes live. Activation type, select all customers. Cap-in type, I'll choose daily cap-in for this example. Product code, this will need to be understandable and recognizable by yourselves. Product description, something to describe the product, what you're trying to achieve. Captured amount, how much you wish to cap the customer's travel at. And then the maximum fare will be the maximum fare which is then applied to a cap-in rule. You can then set the time limits of when you'd like this cap-in rule to be applied. For example, you can either select all day, which will run from midnight to midnight, which will also allow an overlap time of 5 hours. Or we can set the start and end time to run from say 4 in the morning until 4 in the morning the following day. Then select the time zone of where this rule will be applied. Cap-in application level will be card, and then the transaction type will need to be determined whether it's a flat fare product rule or a variable fare. You can then also limit the number of taps that this cap-in rule will then be applied for, or you can leave it as unlimited, whichever you wish. You can also then set the start time and end time and date of when this rule will then be applied for. Once you're happy, simply click create and the rule will then be created. If you then wish to edit your rule for whatever reason, you want to change the pricing, simply go to the tab, click the edit button and you can then change the pricing on the page. To create a discount product, go to Products and Discount and click on the Create Product button. Discount products are typically used for a group of users who have registered their card on a website. This could be students or staff members who will then be applicable to a discounted rate compared with other customers. We either offer a percentage rate or a flat fare rate for the discounted feature to apply. To process a refund on the Littlepay Merchant Portal, go to Corrections and then Make Correction. Enter the first 6 and last 4 numbers into the card number and then the expiry date, and then click Search to view the results. This will load all the transactions for this card number, and then to filter the information even further, we can add a date from, a date to, and also a transaction amount. Once you've found the transaction you're looking for, simply click on the credit button on the right hand side and a new window will be displayed. On this window, the charged amount is shown. You cannot edit this amount. This is how much the customer has already been charged. The refund amount you can edit if you want to do a partial refund. Otherwise, leave it as it is and a full refund will then be processed. You can add any comments from the customer and also any comments from yourself to confirm why this refund is being approved. Once ready, click submit and that will be processed back to the customer in a few working days. This is the Transactions Analytics page on the Merchant Portal. From here you can see all the data for the transactions over a given time period, including how many transactions have been processed and how much has been processed in volume. To see the information for the dates you're looking for, select the date picker in the top right corner. From here you can select any dates up to 90 days. We also have predetermined dates of 7, 30 and the last 90 days. Once the information is loaded, the graphic will update and you can see how much has been processed over a given day and time period. You can also filter the graphic by Clapham products to understand how much has been processed and how much has been adjusted by those Clapham products. Everything here is then able to be downloaded into a CSV spreadsheet by scrolling down and clicking the download button in the right hand side. This is the Customers Analytics page on the Merchant Portal. From here you'll be able to see how many new customers you have seen over a given time period. To select the date period, go to the top right corner and click the date picker. You would have to select this period of 7 days each time. We also have the predetermined days options here of the last 14, 30 and 90 days. The information shown here is the existing customers versus new customers. You can see clearly how many new customers you have seen over this given time period. You can then download this information by scrolling down and clicking on the download button and a CSV spreadsheet will be downloaded. On the Customers Analytics page, we also have the capped versus uncapped customers information. From here again, you can select the date period from the date picker and you can see how many customers have been transacted over this time period and how many of those have been adjusted. You can then see the average spend per adjusted customer over this time period. If you scroll down, you can then view all the information into a table format and download it into a CSV spreadsheet for your own analysis. This is the Corrections Analytics page on the Merchant Portal. This shows all the corrections that have been processed over a given time period for your own reconciliation. To choose a certain time period you're looking for, select the date picker in the top right corner and select the dates you need the information for. We do provide the predetermined last 7, 30 and 90 days for your own convenience. Once you've loaded the information, you can then see how many corrections have been processed over this time period. You can then download this information into a table format by scrolling down and clicking on the download button and it will download into a CSV spreadsheet for your own analysis. This is the Declines Analytics page on the Littlepay Merchant Portal. From here you can see how many decline transactions we've received over a given time period. To select the dates you're looking for, go to the date picker in the top right corner and select the date range. We do offer a predetermined last 7, 30 and 90 days for your own convenience. Once the information is loaded, you can then filter the information on the graphic even further from the drop down menus. You can either view the information via transaction count or transaction amount. You can see if those declined transactions which have been covered or not covered by issue liability, those declined transactions by Steam, Visa or MasterCard, and also by the decline response code we've received from the customer's issuing bank. You can then download all this information into a CSV spreadsheet by scrolling down and clicking on the download button on the right hand side. This is the Debt Recovery Analytics page on the Littlepay Merchant Portal. From here you can see how much debt has been outstanding and how much has been recovered for a selected period through debt recovery processes. To select the date range, click the date picker in the top right corner. You can see how much debt has been recovered over a given time period. In the graphic you can see how much debt has been recovered and how much debt is still outstanding, and by scrolling down to the table format below you can then see the figures of how much debt is still outstanding over a given number of days and how successful the debt recovery processes have been. You can then download this information into a CSV spreadsheet by clicking the download button on the right hand side.